calling him Abba, Father. Galatians 4 verse 6. A simple passage, a simple statement wherein the Apostle Paul says, we are no longer servants of God, but we are sons and daughters of God, joined heirs with Jesus Christ. And then he puts that statement, calling him Father. Why? Because in the fullness of time, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law. And because of that, he has adopted, and Paul uses the word adopted because we have no record that he himself had a child, a biological child. And therefore he understood that children can come to oneself, both naturally and by adoption. But the essence of Paul's statement is captured in the fact that we who have embraced, have faith, believe in that Jesus Christ, can call his Father our Father. Following that, Jesus is simply reminding us that on Father's Day, we have a Father who is in heaven. We are created in his image. We are the object of his love. We are the object of his protection. We are the object of his redemption through his own Son. And then he says, and the Spirit of his Son. That is, the Holy Spirit is within us to constantly empower us, to remind us that we are not but strangers, orphans, or fatherless children, but we are individuals who have a Father in heaven. And friends, while that God continues to care, to love, to protect, to guide us into all truth while we are here on earth, it is that same Father who has declared that we need not be anxious, we need not be troubled, because his Son has gone to prepare a place for you. If there is anything that makes me enjoy being a Seventh-day Adventist, is that very idea that there is this idea that there is a Jesus who is coming to take me home so that we can, all of us, be with our Father for eternity. Whether it be 1,000 years in heaven and 1,000 years here on earth for eternity, it does not matter for me, because all I know is that that God who is my Father has done and is doing continuously, in the present continuous tense, everything for my greater good. Please, friend, as we experience and enjoy our fathers here on earth, may we be reminded by Galatians chapter 4 verse 6 that we have a Father who is in heaven, who is awaiting, preparing, and getting just ready to take us to be with him for eternity. To that end, may that Father keep you safe in the palm of your hand until we meet him in the clouds of glory. God bless you. 3 verse 42, the words of the thief on the cross: remember me, remember me, don't forget me. That's a powerful passage stated directly to a dying Jesus. This is interesting in the fact that this thief is aware that he is dying. He is aware that Jesus is also dying. But even in that context, he says, remember me. There is something about this thief that we can learn. He realized that in God, in spite of where he is, God is still able to remember anybody when they cry out to him. Remember me says, I know that you have something coming up. And don't forget that Jesus had come into the world after being prophesied and for years in the Old Testament. But when he comes with the kingdom motif. And John the Baptist declares and introduces him. And the kingdom of God is at hand. This thief must have known something about Jesus. That this man is not this is not the end of this man. There is a greater kingdom that this man has come to establish and will soon establish. And we can talk about different kingdoms on this earth. We can talk about countries and estates. But the New Testament introduces us to a Jesus who introduces the fulfillment of the kingdom. And irrespective of how the Hebrews and the Jews at the time failed to understand and embrace what kind of kingdom he was creating, that did not alter the mission and the teaching of the kingdom theory that this thief had embraced. I'm saying, dear friends, that there are times in life when we see the kingdom of this world and how shaking and they are, how they disappoint us in what they provide for us as citizens, and it doesn't matter where we are. This seems to be the fate of all humans across the globe. And therefore, it makes sense that in the hour of his death, Christ is still able to respond and say, I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. That word paradise means a garden. And among the Persians, it actually means a garden of pleasure, of fruits, of abundance, of contentment. And Jesus promises the thief on the cross that, listen, my friend, I hear you, and I promise you, the cross is not the end of our story. We have a story beyond Calvary. We have a paradise that I am going to be with you. Whether he meant he was telling him that day, or he meant they will be in paradise that same day, it doesn't really matter for me. What matters to me is that it be done, and not when it be done. And therefore the promise is given to the thief. And Jesus comes through for this thief. And I'm just suggesting that there are times in life when we are sinking, when we don't know which way we are going. All I'm suggesting is that based on this account, we can cry out and say, oh Jesus, remember me when thou comest in your kingdom. And this passage assures that the response from the God of heaven, from he who spoke and it was done, who commanded and it stood fast, from he who sent his son into the world to redeem the world, to reconcile the world, to make it at one meant with him. It is that God who has promised us paradise. May you remain safe in the palm of his hand until that day. God bless you.